It's always good to have a pretty solid employment contract when you're bringing people in. If you're going to start offering equity to people, like, be sure to do that, right? You get the advice you need. Make sure you've got an option pool with good vesting and that's fair for everyone. So legal support, HR support, like anything that is really going to cause you a problem in the future. It's almost worth kind of in your head going forward to that due diligence conversation you're going to have with your first VC and thinking, like, what are they going to ask for? Because if I get that in place now, those conversations in the future are going to go a lot easier. I think at the early stage, it's worth building that peer network and, understanding from other people who are in a similar situation, what they're doing, how they're approaching it, what's their best practice, how have they dealt with this sort of stuff. I certainly wouldn't advocate going out and spending lots of money on, lawyers and accountants when you're just at ideation, but this is where the peer networks come in really helpful, and you can share your experience and advice with each other. For your first key hires, it's really whatever skill set that you don't possess in order to move your company or your product forward. So if you are a really great business person with a lot of hustle but don't know how to build a technical product, then you're looking for a technical person. If you're great at that product side but you don't know how to go and build a market, then you want someone with those skill sets. So thinking carefully about the broad skill sets that are required, how do you move that company forward, how do you move it forward at pace, and hiring accordingly. Hiring your friends because they're your friends but don't actually possess the skill set you need to move forward, that's definitely a big one. Being tempted to hire someone who's not quite right because they're cheaper, which is probably just going to lend you more problems down the line. And then the other challenge is if you're considering trying to bring people on in a sweat equity type situation, to make sure you structure that correctly. So it's not just a case of, come on board and I'm absolutely going to give you 5% of the company. If they leave 2 days later, they're still going to own 5% of your company. So making sure if you're going to go down that route, and there's good reasons for doing it, that it's structured properly, you've got the right advice in place to make sure that you're protected and the company's protected in the future. Culture is an interesting thing because essentially the founder is going to dictate the culture, and that's partly going to be by design, but a big part of it's going to be unconscious, right? It's just how you act and how you approach your business. And I think you need to be kind of conscious about how your behavior will influence other people and set the precedence. So if you're sending a flurry of emails at 11 o'clock at night and expecting answers, you've set a precedence there that people should be working at 11 o'clock at night. And I'm not suggesting that's right or wrong. It's just a choice to be made in terms of how you approach that. I think it's more important that when you bring people in, if you see that they're not aligned to your culture, that you deal with that quickly.